My name is Jonathan Kingston. I'm a photographer for the National Geographic Image Collection. I do a lot of contract work for National Geographic. I also work for their expeditions arm, leading tours all over the world. So the National Geographic Image Collection is a group of photographers who've all worked for National Geographic magazine. It's an in-house agency that represents those photographers.
To see all these other great photographs by all these photographers, Joel Sartori and all the rest, just to be here in their company on the walls of this gallery is really quite an experience.
I was invited to be part of a foreign film crew photographing the first female panda that was born in captivity as she was being sent back to the wild. And I wanted to be empathetic to her, so our whole team dressed up as trees in these ghillie suits. And the head of the panda program was so delighted that we were empathizing with this panda that he came running up to me and said, "You are going to get to hold 2 baby pandas." And then he paused and said, "President Obama, he only hold 1. And I knew that I had my in, and so I went back and asked if I could do a much deeper story about the incredible work that China is doing to save this species from extinction.
The photograph that you see behind me is called Orangutan in the Rain. I shot this photograph in Bali in 2014 at the Orangutan Conservation Park. The sad thing is they are facing extinction because of what we do to the rainforest.
In recent years and decades, there's been an incredible increase in this sort of awareness of the general public about endangered species and this current extinction crisis that we're going through. And I think photos and visual stories have an enormous role to play in that. The whole idea behind National Geographic is to inspire and educate, and they do that through very powerful visual storytelling. You think of National Geographic, you think of a single photograph can have an enormous impact on people. In recent years, rhinos have been subject to an incredible spike in poaching. And the horn of the rhino is the most valuable substance on Earth. It's worth its weight in gold or more.
I met this particular orangutan. Chitra was only 2 years old when they rescued her from the wild. And I was photographing her when I was at the park. And then it was starting to rain. And Chitra did something quite remarkable. Found a taro leaf from the ground, and then she picked it up. Chitra put the taro leaf on top of her head, and I took 3 shots of her. This is the first shot. This is the one that got published in National Geographic.
Urban people have lost the connection with the night sky. So when you show a picture of the Milky Way, they can reconnect with the natural night sky that is lost due to light pollution. And that brings another part of myself and my career as a science journalist to put a story next to the image. So I always combine my images with a story and with a bit of science, a taste of science, not too much, but just a taste, to make a better understanding of what's up in the sky and how far we got disconnected from this part of nature.
The heart wave, I've probably taken 20,000 images at that specific spot on the island of Molokai. And whenever there's a big storm up in the Bering Sea and there's big swell coming down from the north, all the sand washes away at this corner and it turns into a slope where the wave will wash up on the slope and then it'll wash back down at a high velocity and meet the incoming waves. And so you have these 2 waves meeting each other.
National Geographic has been one of the great relationships of my life. I've been working for them for 33 years, and nobody else in the world gave us the opportunity to go see the world, to capture it, to communicate it, to bring it back in our photographs and share it with everybody else in the world.
Every National Geographic photographer aims to preserve a part of nature. It's either about a lake, it's climate change, it might be about the pristine oceans, mountains and glaciers. Also about the night sky. Night sky as an essential part of our environment deserves to be preserved, but it needs to be first better introduced to public so we can understand it as part of our nature, not an isolated laboratory for astronomers only, but a part of our environment which every person can communicate with.
All my work is about coexistence. It's about the planet. It's about where we're going. And now I've really continued to tell the story about humanity, how we protect these last great spaces and species.
One of my friends, DeWitt Jones, has this great saying, and it's to celebrate what's right with the world. You know, there's so much bad crap going on all the time. His choice, and as much as I can, my choice is to celebrate the good things that are happening in the world.
We have to keep our eye on the ball of these species that are slipping onto the endangered species list, that aren't getting the attention they deserve. And I hope through photographs we can convey the sort of majesty of these creatures, to bring awareness to this and to take action to protect these species while we still do have time.
We have one planet Earth. We don't get a second chance. And it is this tiny little shared life raft. You know, I think we're at this moment where we see the future unfolding in front of us. We see it coming. We have this tiny opportunity to change the course that we're on.